Hi, good evening, everyone. Hello, GM. So yeah, we are going to talk about the blockchain technology for payment infrastructure and how we do see on it would change the global money flow. And let me call all the panelists. So the first one would be Geoffrey from Mobee Exchange as the CPO of Mobee. Please come. I will call Panos Pavlakis from Rapids as the head of BD and strategy. I'm also calling for Dr. Liming from Hong Kong W3SA. Come. And last but not least, the co-founder and CEO of Durian Pay, Natasha Ardiani. Okay, so yeah, as we know that the blockchain technology is already redefining all the global payment systems, from stablecoin rails, from the money movements, from the blockchain that also powering every single payment in the world right now. But now we would like to discuss with all these industry fintech leaders on how the blockchain technology could actually changing the whole money movement. So let me start with all the panelists to be able to introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Good afternoon. You can call me Geoffrey. So I'm from Mobee, one of Indonesian licensed crypto exchange, and I'm here. We'll be covering about payment infrastructure technology.
Hello, everybody. My name is Panos. I'm the head of business development and strategy partnership for Rapids, a Web3 wallet from Singapore, focusing on connecting Web2 audience with Web3 technologies.
Hello, good afternoon. It's Mingli from Hong Kong Web3 Standardization Association. Actually, we are working on the research and standardization in Web3 industry.
Right, hello everyone. My name is Natasha from Durian Pay. We are a B2B payments platform facilitating real-time money movements across Indonesia and recently expanding to stablecoin cross-border as well.
And let me introduce myself as well. My name is Nael. I'm the co-founder and CEO of IDRX, a rupiah stablecoin. So yeah, let's start the discussion on how the evolution of payment infrastructure and the role of the blockchain itself. Let me start with Geoffrey first. As a Mobee exchange, as one of the leading crypto exchange in Indonesia, how do you see the role of crypto exchange, right? Because on how the payment evolve, especially the use cases that start to shift from off-chain to on-chain, right? How do you see from crypto exchange point of view?
Okay. So maybe let's start from redefining what stablecoin is used for in the current payment world. Especially in Asia, stablecoins such as USDT, USDC, and some others are used as a settlement currency. It helps to bridge between one currency to another. That's why remittances, cross-border payments are made possible and more efficient with the stablecoin technology. As an exchange, it's very crucial as part of the ecosystem because we are the place where swaps between FX of, let's say, rupiah to stable coins happening. Its origination of like the market prices, the supply and demand, and any payment company that want to work using stable coins will need to pass through an exchange. So it's very important for exchanges to have like best pricing. So incumbent players or technology will be more inclined to use stablecoin rails instead of maybe the traditional banking rails.
Okay, so you are talking about on how Mobee could provide a good liquidity as well on crypto exchange on how people utilizing USDT and USDC, right? As for the remittances and cross-border payment, right? And so when we talk about remittances specifically, we are going to Panos as Rapids is one of the payment company, right? That you guys have wallet as well as the crypto card as well.
Our
right?
newly launched crypto card, yes.
Newly launched crypto card, yeah.
Freshly.
So Panos, on how you see will blockchain improve the remittances specifically through Rapids, for example? Could you share with us?
I think this is like any other company. We've been around for some time now. So in crypto space, you always see new trends. So at some point before it was, imagine when we started, we even had the physical POS back then, which for now it looks like ancient history. So things become more and more automated, more regulated, and like any other new industry, no matter how good you are, you always need to get the direction from the top. So then when you see governments that they talk more openly about crypto adoptions or give crypto within the remittance industry, then you think, okay, these guys, they are serious. So we can see the last year and a half, there is a lot of push coming maybe mostly from US, new president, suddenly the whole climate become more pro-crypto. So because he went more pro-crypto, the rest of the world, they have to follow up. So that's, you see the whole trend. And one example, again, for me, when I want to say something, I try to use real life examples. And one of these was some conferences a couple of years ago. If you go out there and you talk about remittance using crypto or remittance doing OTC, people, they will look at you strangely. But nowadays, you go to conferences, to the big gatherings, and people, they promote OTC, 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 right? So this is a change that affects everyone.
Okay. Now when we talk about remittances, OTC, and how blockchain could evolve this kind of use cases specifically. So let me go to Natasha. Since we know Durian Pay sits in the middle of intersection of the merchant, bank, as well as the payment rail as well. So how Durian Pay could orchestrate all of this from merchant, banks, also the payment rails, and how Durian Pay could orchestrate all this specifically for cross-border payment as well as the remittances.
Right. I think, as you know, in Indonesia, like the real-time payments infrastructure, is already here. Not a lot of players can do it, but I think it's going to get commoditized over time. So with Durian Pay, right, for the past 4 years, we've been laser focused on building real-time payments infrastructure for any type of businesses to accept money and accept payments and send out payments in real time. And now we're aspire to do the same for cross-border, right? So just to be clear, when I think most of the audience here and the panelists have heard of this term called stablecoin based remittance, or the stablecoin sandwich, right? What it means is that the sender from country A would send out a fiat through a remittance provider, which is us, right? And then it would the money with the fiat would be converted into stable coin, and then from then on, like, will be converted back into some fiat, say in Greece, right? So technically, the sender doesn't even know that the fiat will get converted into stable coin, right? So we sit. What I'm trying to say is that we are focusing on the boring business, like we are focusing on the treasury use cases, like liquidity management, like FIs use cases, financial institution use cases. So not exactly on the retail or B2C side of things. So I do believe that there is big opportunity in this space. I think a bit of anecdote, right? Have you tried sending money from Indonesia to Singapore or vice versa? You could see, like, with the SWIFT payments, if you use any bank in Indonesia, the top 5 banks, top 10 banks, like, you instruct the payments, you approve it, and then you could download this thing that is called the BIRT, the BIRT report. And you can see that your money moves from Indonesia to perhaps Hong Kong, depending on who correspondence bank is, Hong Kong and then New York, and then somewhere else, and then Singapore. And the whole thing could take like 2-3 business days. So this process is something that we are currently together trying to replace, right? I mean, replicate to some extent, but more like replace. So Dorian Pay is not doing the conversion, right? Who's converting the IDR into stablecoin is Geoffrey, or players like Geoffrey, right? And we are just literally building the plumbing from like one corridor to another. So I guess like that's what the payment company's role in this whole cross-border scheme.
So the boring businesses is already generate a lot of revenue as well, right? So yeah, for the Dr. Lining, how do you see the standard bodies like W3SA and ISO development for all of this payment evolution?
Okay, so first I think maybe we need more passion in this room than that. But okay, from the standardization perspective, I think we first need to clarify what kind of scenario could be used the stablecoin payment. For example, B2B, B2C, and C2C, and A2A, agent to agent is a new scenario. Okay, for B2C, we have ISO 222. The Swift has upgraded the protocol for their system, and the new protocol can support cryptocurrency, including the stablecoin. That's the B2B side. For B2C side, I think a lot of new standards should be developed in the future. For example, as a user, I buy a bottle of water in the supermarket, and I would like to pay in stablecoin. So all the systems should be changed, including the device and the QR code should be changed to support the stablecoin. And for C2C side, I think the crypto native community has solved this kind of problem. And for A2A side, agent to agent, in the future maybe the AI agent can pay the money to the other AI agents. And a group led by maybe Google and Coinbase and maybe 10 more big companies in the world, they are working on X402. X402. It's kind of macro payment. You know, if you pay maybe 1 cent, use $1 gas, so the macro payment cannot run. So X402 is a kind of protocol to support this kind of scenario. And we will, right now we are developing a standard in W3SA and also in IEEE Computer Society, named as blockchain-based corresponder payment. That is the payment what we are working on.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Lining. So yeah, right after we heard about the whole evolution of the payment, right after blockchain infused all this innovation, now we need to hear as well about the challenges for this regulation, scalability, and also institutional adoption. And I would like to hear from Natasha first, since we know that there's a lot of on-chain payment, right? Like Rapid's doing. Like there's a lot of wallet out there as well. On how Dorian Pay that truly comply with all those compliance, you could catch up with the compliance, be able to catch up with the on-chain use case as well. Because now everything is moving to on-chain instead of chain, right? So yeah, I want to hear first.
Right, so I think as a payments company, for everyone's knowledge, we are licensed and audited by the Central Bank, Bank of Indonesia, right? With that alone, we have to do like an annual IT audit, annual ISO 27701, annual PCI DSS because we're doing online card acquiring. And now there's 2 more things that we're doing. That is cybersecurity audit that was recently mandated by OJK, which is a financial service authority, and we also need to do that because a lot of our clients are, like Geoffrey's company, Mobee, which are crypto exchanges, which are supervised and licensed by OJK. On top of that, we're doing personal data handling audit because now there's a lot of data exchange, personal data exchange between the banks, us, and the crypto exchanges. So in essence, a lot. We have to do a lot to keep complying to the regulations. But I think in hindsight, governments and regulators want want the environment, want the ecosystem to be safer. Industry players like us, we tend to move faster than regulations, and I think it's just the trend anywhere and everywhere that regulators almost always play catch up, right? So I think, one thing that we always do is try to always engage in a discussion with them, try to keep them informed about what innovation, what products, what sandbox, what experiments that we do. And yeah, sometimes they welcome them, sometimes they don't, but that's one way to test their appetite, essentially.
Interesting. So let me hear from Mobee now. I know that payment company is trying so hard to be able to catch up with the on-chain use cases for payment. Now, how Mobee could catch up as well with the on-chain payment use cases specifically, while you guys acting as the centralized exchanger that by nature you guys not building for payment, but as we know that there's a lot of people here. They're trying to using centralized exchanger be able to pay their vendors out there cross-border. How you guys could still do within compliance within the OJK for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna try to speak slower because it seems like we are competing with other noise. Okay. Maybe we need to take a look at the whole value chain of payments, right? It's usually between buyer and a seller. Remember that if we want to do an on-chain payment, it's not usually happening directly between the buyer and seller, because ideally they don't need to touch the on-chain part, because for them it's already complicated enough for them in order to manage wallet, for them in order to make sure that their funds are safe, make sure that their funds are actually arriving safely. So that is why key players such as exchanges, such as payment gateways, banks need to be in place. Basically, we need to handle the hard part, right? So the hard part includes if it's a compliance-related area, it's how do we really make sure that transactions that are happening between A and B are actually legit transactions. I think that's any government's goals, right? So from the exchange side, at least we already try our best to implement some countermeasures. First is that we are doing a lot of background checks every time there is a new users or new merchants, new businesses signing up. And then we also do wallet checks as well. It's called KYT in the business, Know Your Transactions, where we check if the wallet has been corrupted by maybe gambling websites or hacks funds, and those kind of stuff. The goal is to make sure that the merchant and the clients or the institutions and other institutions can transact while we take care of the hard stuff, which is usually revolving around the swaps between currencies. Usually it's between blockchain finality. And then thirdly, it's around compliance. Yeah, so that's why it's something we as an exchange, as a payment institution, payment finance, are trying to solve these days.
Okay, Panas, since you are trying to covering all of this on-chain payment as well, how do you see be able to tackle the regulation issue? Since probably in Indonesia, for example, you are not Indonesian businesses, how you could be able to serve Indonesian recent payment as well, be able to pay their vendors, their friends, right? How Rapids could, you know.
I mean, we say we're a global business. I mean, we are regionally, we are in Singapore and Malaysia, but obviously we operate globally, which means we need to go by the global rules. And one of the issues and one of the hurdles that I think everybody agrees is that there is not a unified regulation system. So you see some regions like Singapore with the MAS, very strict. Hong Kong as well, they have the stablecoin regulations. Dubai, VARA. Now Europe is trying to do MiCA as well. So at the same time, other countries, they try to catch up. So always there is this kind of gap when you are somewhere that you are regulated and then you have to open a new business maybe in a more emerging market, let's say Africa as well, some countries there. And then you get into this situation that, okay, now what I can do, right? So I think most of the times we have to talk to the regulators directly. No, unless you know some big companies, normally local ones that operate there as well, and let's say you try to do business with them, like create the ecosystem, get to their own ecosystem. So whatever you try to do on this specific region, you kind of approved already. So for us, it's like, okay, regulators ideally, of course, yeah, but at the same time, you OTC business, you need to create those partnerships that, let's say, you can ride on their own license. So then you can be able to do business there. So at least one side, if people, they see that as regulation, sometimes blocking the development and the evolution. But at the same time, I think is needed, you know, because whatever you try to do, I mean, regulations give you a good example, you get a good excuse and reason to create and foster partnerships globally. And like always say, when there are two partners, is 1 + 1 is not 2. 1 + 1 can be, sky is the limit. I don't even say 3.
Yes, we know that the innovation is always go first right after the regulation, right?
It is, yeah.
So yeah, for Dr. Lining, from what we heard about the challenges about the regulation on how crypto exchanges, Durian Pay as the payment company as well as the wallet company as well, they're trying to comply with all these regulators in every single country. Now we need to hear from you, from Hong Kong W3SA, on how Hong Kong could be able to try to regulate and develop a friendly framework for this kind of on-chain payment innovation.
Yeah. As I know, Hong Kong maybe published the stablecoin law in maybe August 1. Oh, yeah. And there's so many detailed information. I think you can search on the website. But from the law in Hong Kong and in USA, we found some conflict between them. For example, if you issue a US dollar-backed stablecoin in Hong Kong, you need to follow 2 laws in different countries. And you need deposit your US dollar into Hong Kong custody. And you need reports regularly to USA SEC. So this is the very funny thing. If you issue Indonesia dollar-backed stablecoin in Hong Kong, what will happen? So right now we are thinking the conflicts between the different country for different regulation or policy. So we suggest the United Nations, we need the research on the maybe stablecoin network in the world. Right now we are working on it. I think maybe we need to develop a report, and then we can publish a standard to tell all the member of United Nations that if you accept some maybe principle, so all the regulation is the same thing for the applier, for the issuer. So the issuer can save money, save time, save resources, and then the industry can develop very fast. As I remember, maybe a Chinese payment company maybe apply maybe 100 more license in different countries. That's the funny things for me. So I think we cannot solve this problem in different countries. We should solve the problem in United Nations, and then publish one maybe principle or policy to direct different country or different governor to publish the local policy. That's my mind for that.
Thank you, Dr. Linding. So when we talk about the challenges, we also need to talk about the opportunities as well. Let me start with Panas. As we know that you are a global companies.
I love opportunities, you know.
You're a global companies that doing the on-chain payment stuff with your Rapids, right? So where do you see the biggest opportunity for blockchain that already transform all the payment systems?
I always say I'm from Europe. I come from Greece, right? So every time I go back to Europe, we all know that when it comes to Web3 and be fast, Europe is slow. Normally, Europe, they will try to regulate things they don't understand. So it will take time to go to the next step. So every time I go back to Europe, and because I live in Asia, I live between Singapore and Hong Kong. So I see how fast this area goes. I will say that for me, I will put my money on South Asia and probably Southeast Asia in terms of go fast, go regulated. And again, I mean, a good example is Hong Kong. I mean, I live in Hong Kong for many years, and always I come from the traditional finance, investment banking, and always we say how slow and super cautious Hong Kong SFC they are, and Hong Kong MA. But then for the last year, suddenly, and again, the trend comes from the US, right? Go for pro-crypto. Obviously, China has to follow up a little bit, and Hong Kong is a good situation that there can be a sandbox of everything. So suddenly Hong Kong, they had all these regulations passing so fast, including the stablecoin last August. So for me, if I have to say where I see the opportunities, I think obviously Hong Kong, Singapore is already mature, right? So the more mature it becomes, the less the opportunities to make, let's say, money. But at the same time, you have these hubs there, and then you have all these satellite countries around that you can apply what you did on the big guys, you can apply to regionally. And talking about Indonesia, this is something I said already to my friends long time ago. This is a almost 300 million country, young population, super tech savvy. You go out to have food and you see 10 different applications for a restaurant, giving you 10 different discounts, which means the people here, they feel it. So a good example, Indonesia would be, a good example of this could be Indonesia. But again, doing it on a regulated way. Then if I want to say a little bit more globally, again, Europe, always they regulate things too much. US, suddenly they go so fast. They don't even, maybe I think sometimes from the top, they say things they don't even understand because they want to be seen as number one, right? And you will go to countries that, these countries also we are looking at, we call it the unbanked countries. So these are countries that the population cannot even cannot even go even, I mean, you have a decent company, you have your employees, but you cannot even open a bank account, right? So you have Africa, Southeast Asia, so how these guys are going to do the payments? Use stable coins, you know, use this kind of methods. So for me, that would be the criteria to look for areas that I can see the opportunity and everything goes faster.
So yeah, obviously they are more mature and faster compared to Indonesia.
Faster. Europe, no. Europe,
Europe,
they love to go slow, you know. They like it that. I think if Europe go fast, they will have a problem, you know.
Okay. Then, Natasha, which use cases that you do think will scale first in Asia specifically?
Like in terms of stablecoin adoption or in terms of blockchain payments?
In terms of the payment industry that already infused by blockchain?
Right. I think it has to be cross-border or like wholesale use cases, institutional use cases, because these are the transaction. I mean, as I said earlier, right? Like what I think we're all trying to replace here is not exactly retail payments. I think retail payments in most Asian countries like are pretty much already real time, right? And they're even like the merchant already gets like real time or same day settlements today in Indonesia, right? But yeah, I think cross-border is ripe to be disrupted right now. Money movements across countries still go through correspondence banks, which takes like few business days to arrive, and then so I think in terms of penetration, we've seen also like a lot of money being invested into cross-border payments like across Asia Pacific recently. So yeah, I think it's no brainer that I think like payments, stablecoin based, blockchain based, will be penetrated soon. And I think one dynamic that I think will sort of like color next year is that I know that right now the proliferation of USDT, USDC is already quite widespread. But I think now like that we have quite a clear framework for stablecoin from the Genies Act, Clarity Act. Like Canada is issuing one, Hong Kong is issuing one, a lot of Asian countries are issuing one as well. They would also be able to do sort of like direct currency pairing. So then, most trades, especially if it's like between two exotic corridors, like say Thai baht and IDR, will happen, the swap will happen direct, right? Instead of, say, through USDT and then convert back into the fiat currency. So I think that would be like one color that would be different. And imagine like the spread that will, because now like it's the consumers that are paying for this, right? It's not like us. Like for us, like the spread is, we get like a bit of the spread, like 0.000 basis points, right? Like our spread is in the basis points. But I think it's like going to be the consumer will hopefully pay less, and they will get their money more instantly. And yeah, hopefully we can see this happen sooner rather than later.
So yeah, we can imagine in the next 1 or 2 years, there will be a direct from Thai baht to Indonesian rupiah with direct liquidity pool on chain.
Or it's already happening on SGD stablecoin, right? SGD stablecoin, Hong Kong stablecoin. I think China will soon launch their own stablecoin or CBDC, right? I think it's bound to happen.
Maybe Southeast Asia stablecoin, to connect everything. Southeast
It's
Asia.
happening.
That would be amazing.
It's happening.
You mean
and
like
lead-
as a currency
and
bucket?
led by
As a
IDRX.
currency bucket? No, tough.
One thing I can say, because I was a little bit harsh to Europe, a good example of Europe was 2000, before 2000, when all the countries will have our own currency. So Greek drachma, Italian liretta, Deutsche Mark. So at that time you had the cross-border trade and payments very slow. Since Euro, things changed a lot. So suddenly, you go to you buy Germany, everything, Euro connect everything. So something similar could happen with the stable coins. So the same time we had, I think, 15 countries that they have different currencies, and one night they got Euro. Imagine something similar, 15 countries somewhere in Southeast Asia, you get something more unified, as a stable coin, of course, right? And the change will be, big.
Yes, we see that Asia specifically have more than 10 currencies, and I do believe all of them already have their own stable coin as well, and that they do not want to rely on USD stable coin. So let me hear from Geoffrey. With more than 10 currency in Asia, what will position Asia as the global leader in the blockchain payment system?
Okay. I think I want to summarize the whole industry and market as being open into digital economy, right? I think just rhyming what Panos has said before regarding regulation being slow. I think a lot of regulators, I'm not speaking for every country, of course, but they often put too much weight on the risk, right? Or on the negative or worse use cases. It's always around like maybe money laundering, corruption, terrorism. It's always like those are the drivers of the regulations, right? But remember that Southeast Asia, especially Indonesia, is a developing country. Our GDP grow like around 5% per year, hopefully can be 8% sometime in the future. You need to start looking more at opportunities, right? I think this is also a call out for regulators to be able to support and enable businesses in order to reach these digital economy opportunities, right? I think I can speak for everybody in this room because some of you guys probably builders as well. We need to shift our mindset with digital economy, right? Because we already see corporations, individuals start to shift their wealth into digital asset as well. Now these digital assets are mostly stored in like cold wallet, hot wallet exchanges, so call it, right? Imagine how much more economic activities that can be unlocked once you create like a safe regulations that will make this ecosystem run. I think that's something like we all need to think about. That's why I think I'm happy with the regulator, especially OJK, that are open for sandboxing. I think they learn a lot from Hong Kong for instead of saying no to every possible business opportunities, they start to listen more into a lot of this sandboxing program. Hopefully it's not only open to exchanges, but also any payment companies, any businesses that try to create an infrastructure for digital economy. So hopefully one day, for example, Indonesia being like such a nature or like production heavy country, can start to have higher net exports by allowing, crypto-based or stablecoin-based settlement layers that are easier for example, institutions. So for example, imagine if you are like a CFO of the company, where do I put this in my books? Like, how do I report the taxes? So hopefully all of that somebody in this room maybe will solve it in the future and we'll be able to make into a proper regulation and can use payment gateways, wallet company, exchanges as the intermediary partners in order for us to unlock these digital economies. I think that's my last message.
Wow, great. So for Dr. Lining, what do you think? What do you think on how Asia could be the leader for the blockchain-based payment system? Is it the regulation or is it the fact that Asia have more than 10 currencies?
Actually, I'm not sure. It depends on the real value of a stablecoin. Everyone knows stablecoins save the money, save for transaction, save the time for transaction. But actually, for me, I think the most valuable things is the convenience. Because in China, we just use Alipay and WeChat Pay. Here, maybe Apple Pay. We don't need the key. Everything put inside in the mobile. So I cannot imagine my father, if my father uses stablecoin to buy a box of Coca-Cola, he need to apply register in your wallet and register in your payment system and your exchange system. My father cannot do that. But they can use the Alipay in the open market, in the supermarket, anywhere. So the convenience, how can we build maybe the technical system or the standard system structure and the different tools, platform? We need to provide the customer, the user, a convenient way to use the stablecoin. Otherwise, we always say stablecoin security and blockchain can provide the security, the consensus mechanism, and the P2P communication is nothing for the customer. the user needs to know where can I use the stable coin. The stable coin not just used in the crypto native community. It should be used in the open supermarket. That's my point. The convenience is very valuable. So for any country, I'm not sure Indonesia, Hong Kong, or mainland China, or maybe Dubai, who can push the stable coin into the supermarket. That is very valuable things for the industry.
So at the end, the convenience is still the most important thing for the adoption, right? Yep. And I do believe Visa, Mastercard is trying to be able to accept stablecoin payment. And we know that specifically in Indonesia, for example, we do not have a specific problem with domestic payment, right? Indonesia have a great QRIS system that have more than 55 million merchants in Indonesia, right? So, like Natasha mentioned previously, that cross-border payment and remittances are still the biggest opportunity for stablecoin-based payment system, while domestic payment could still covered by QRIS, for example, in Indonesia, right? And I do believe other Southeast Asia countries also have their own QRIS payment system as well, right? So,
Payla in Singapore is Payla.
yeah, Payla in
Pay Me
Singapore
Hong Kong.
also, right? Yeah. So I do believe, like Natasha mentioned, cross-border remittances are still the biggest opportunity, but we still need to find a way on how we could have the most convenience tools for people be able to pay using stablecoin-based payment, right? So yeah, we still have more than 10 minutes. Is there any Q&A from the audience to these industry fintech leaders? Is there anyone that would like to asking on how blockchain-based system could evolve on or in Indonesia, for example? If not, then I guess not. I guess everyone is already using the wallet to be able to pay someone else, or using exchanger to be able to send the stablecoin to the vendors, for example.
Use the crypto cards to pay as
Using
well.
the crypto card as well, the neobank that being everywhere in Indonesia, powered by Visa and Mastercard as well. So yeah, I would like to asking the closing statement lah, from each of you on how most of the audiences as the entrepreneur, for example, or as the users that would like to build another blockchain payment system or wanna using the blockchain payment system as a consumer. Start with Geoffrey.
Yeah, I think the challenges for most of entrepreneurs in utilizing blockchains is that they focus too much on the technology and less about the demand's behavior, right? I mentioned previously, the main goal is not about how these people or how these businesses or merchants are using the payment, blockchain payment network, right? What they care about is getting the money into their bank fast, cheap, instant, right? How can you as a businesses simplify this, I guess, invisible, to make this layer to be as invisible as possible, right? In order for you to really open up that digital economy that I was mentioning before. That's why creating something simple is actually very difficult, right? Getting them to setting up their wallet and then storing their own seed phrases in order to receive payments, that's you are giving the hard stuff to the consumer, right? To the clients, to the merchants. No wonder your blockchain doesn't have users, right? That's why we as an ecosystem player, there should be more people in the application layer of Web3 instead of on the infrastructure. Because infrastructure, we have already like 100 plus layer ones. I think there's even already at least 10 stablecoin blockchains at this point. The goal is for the call out for this room is to become that application layers that bridge between the blockchain and the businesses. So things like, for example, right, blockchain enables you to be transparent. Transparent is good for trust in terms of running the transactions, but it might not be good for privacy, right? Because some businesses don't want their sales to be open public, right? Especially if they are private companies. So imagine those kind of use cases, right? What kind of application that you can build for these people? Yeah, so I think getting back again to what are the pain points that currently exist in order for them to adopt digital or accept digital economy, and then creating an application layer that will help to make that layer invisible while still getting all the benefits.
Don't worry, Geoffrey. IDRX is preparing it
Okay.
for
Thank
the
you.
application layer, so everyone that doing the payment businesses could using IDRX payment rail after this.
Please don't
So
forget to work with all of us.
for sure. So yeah, Panas, I would like to hear from you. What's your
Same, yeah? Same question.
closing statement for our friends here that would like to having a payment system?
There is a booth. Just walk on the left.
Oh, okay, over
There's a
here,
booth.
only here.
It says Rapids, you know?
Only
So they can
here.
just walk there, see
No.
Rapids, and
They are
talk to the
traders.
people. Yeah.
Here probably the
That's the
builders.
easiest way. I think, I mean, when I mentioned at the very beginning, and this is how I use it always, I use the term connecting Web 2 audience with Web 3 technology. And I say that, I mean, mainly I say that because also for me, because I come from completely traditional finance, even the DeFi is something new for the last 6-7 years. So I totally understand sometimes there's a gap of people, of normal businesses, right? So imagine businesses in hotel industry or F&B operating for 10, 20, 30 years and getting specific payments on a specific way. So when all this coming like that, obviously at the beginning they say, wow, what is that? Maybe it's a scam. Maybe someone will hack my wallet and everything will disappear or get scammed, right? So for me, always about education so people that can see what's going on. And like I said before, there are many companies like us. I mean, of course, I promote company I'm working for, but there are so many companies out there that you can do your own research. You can see the projects they did. You can see what kind of deals they had. So you know that if you go to a company that, for example, I say about us again. So we tokenize the loyalty points for a football club in UK. So we did that in UK, which means already approved to do there. So someone who wants to do something like that, they are a hotel industry and they have loyalty points for the customers. Why you don't create a token? And you tokenize this, better UX, it looks better in your wallet, and then you can get your awards and everything. So I guess, again, for companies that they want to get into the Web3 businesses, they just want to see what's going on out there. They see many good examples. Unfortunately, like in every new business, you have 100 good news or good, and then you have one bad news, and most of the people, they will remember the bad news, right? So we need to keep trying, even from our side, to be as much as regulated we are, right? But also, transparent, because at the end of the day, blockchain is about why we have blockchain. Transparency, efficiency, speed, right? So these kind of pillars we need to apply to our business as well when dealing, especially with Web 2 businesses.
Okay. I'm totally agree with you. So yeah, for Dr. Lining, from one of the Hong Kong industry leaders, what's your recommendation for our regulators here in Indonesia that would like to regulate or create or develop the framework for blockchain payment system?
Actually, for me, I believe that Web3 is the future. And the stablecoin is the diamond in the future. And payment is the best practice in the diamond. So whatever the differences between the different countries for the regulation or for the infrastructure, there are so many risks in this industry, but it is the future. Web3 industry is in the early morning right now. something is not clear enough for the new involved. However, we believe that it's the future. You need to prepare something to enter Web3 industry, but be careful your wallet.
Okay, last but not least, I would like to hear from Natasha. What's your recommendation for our regulators that would like to develop the framework that might be friendly enough for blockchain payment system like Durian Pay, for example?
Right. I think as a closing statement, I'm aligned with a few of the panelists here today that says that convenience matters a lot, especially for retail consumers as well as businesses that would like to adopt blockchain payment. But I think like how fast this can happen also depends on how fast the industry players, including the application layers, to adopt the compliance bit, right? SWIFT has been around for decades. And the reason why SWIFT is so trustworthy is because like somebody, either the correspondence bank or someone in the middle or someone at the end, could actually block the transaction if the transaction happens to be, say, like a suspected illicit transaction, right? So it's like it has the element of security and trustworthiness that I think a lot of the blockchain payment players still have a lot to work on, right? So I think because like everyone, okay, like to what extent or by when like mass adoption would happen, I think it also depends on these compliance aspect, this trust aspect as well, right? In terms of regulatory frameworks for Indonesia, I think like the new framework for like OJK just issued like a new regulation literally just a week ago. I think the central bank right now is discussing to launch a framework on this as well. But I think if you'd like to see like their general outlook, like we can see that we can take a look at this document called BSPI, all the blueprint, payment system blueprint 2030. So I think in terms of like the big milestones and vision, like I don't think much will change or from there, right? But I think what BI and OJK are trying to do is like trying to adapt with the latest industry innovations, and yeah, I think like they would think about like all of the aspects while about to launch like the new regulation on payments, because I think there will be new regulation on payments out like issued by the central bank soon. Like I think a lot of people have heard as well, either December or somewhere sometime in Q1 next year. And other than that, I think we have like an impending law revision, like a bill on financial services innovation. So yeah, I think a lot will be clearer after like a lot of these framework will be issued in the next coming months.
Great answer. She chose a great answer. So yeah, blockchain payment infrastructure is getting more and more mature, and we agreed, each of panelists agreed that collaboration between centralized exchanger, payment company wallets,
Cryptocurrency.
regulators, as well as the leading of the payment companies like Durian Pay agreed that the collaboration between each of them will be very critical, be able to delivering the secure, scalable, as well as interoperable payment system that could transform the whole money movement flow. So thank you everyone for listening, and thank you for all panelists that discussed with us this evening. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much to Pa Nael for being our moderator for this panel discussion. And once again, let's take a picture together. Thank you so much, Mr. Geoffrey, Mr. Panos, Dr. Liming, and Natasha. Thank you so much for the insightful. Ms. Natasha, would you please take a picture together first? Let's take a group photo on the stage with Indonesia Blockchain Week Summit 2025. Once again, thank you, Mr. Geoffrey, Mr. Panos, Dr. Liming, and Ms. Natasha for the insightful discussion and for sharing your expertise on the future of blockchain power payment infrastructure.